and welcome to the TheROCKATX online worship experience. You're getting ready to experience God on another level. Whatever you're seeking from God for your life is available for you as you praise, hear the word, and transform your situation. While you're worshiping with us, feel free to interact with our online ministers in the chat and share this broadcast with your friends and family so they can join you online. Also, make sure you subscribe and follow TheROCKATX on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. Now, shake off the worries of the week and get ready to give God some praise. Service will begin soon.
Luke 15 and 17. One line. It says this. But when he came to himself. Now, we don't know how many hours, how many days, how many months, but those hours, those days and months, how many years, we don't know that. The Bible doesn't tell us that. But something happened, and he was all right living for a good while. The Bible even says that he spent his money in prodigal living. So he was not a recluse. He was not worried or afraid because he had these four. What I really want to help you understand is this: these four. How should I put it? These four. I'm trying to get the right word without saying the wrong word. These four perspectives. That's the nice way of putting it. These four perspectives that most of us are operating in. While he was off in a foreign land, number one, he left entitled. This is mine. I deserve it. It's what's supposed to come to me. I don't care what nobody got to say. So you got to be careful now with this mindset, because that means you left somewhere and you really feel like you're good and that you deserve whatever it is, and can't nobody tell you nothing. So this entitled thing. So he leaves entitled, you guys. He leaves. He's not regretful. He don't have any negative thoughts whatsoever. It says he spent it all in prodigal living. He's like, this is what I deserve. Give me my stuff now. I'm out. I'm living the life. I want this. I want that. I'm getting it now. I want to drive this. I want to eat this. I want to live here. I want to do this. I want to experience this. And this is what God has made for me. You got to be very careful because it's a perspective during your chronos that can mess you up. When you start arguing with you that you deserve. I deserve it. I deserve it. I'll mess with you. I mess with some of you guys. This is why many of us don't plan a vacation. We take a vacation. Planning a vacation means that you calculate the cost of the flight, the accommodations, the activities, your dining, and everything else. And when you plan a vacation, you don't come back poor. Nope. When you plan a vacation, you don't overspend, because you've already said, I'm going to do this. This is my budget for this. This is my this. Listen, and when you plan, you can have the best time ever. You just planned it. So that means, listen, there are some people, I know y'all don't know nothing like this. There are some people that plan big, great vacations and listen, and put monies away, store money away over time, pay for them ahead of time, have money set aside, have credit cards cleared off, and then money to pay the credit cards off when they get back and everything else, so that the vacation adds no sorrow. That's planning a vacation. Most of must take a vacation. I just got to get out of here. I just got to go. And you overspend. You don't calculate your activities. You don't calculate your food. You put stuff on credit cards. And then you come back from your vacation and then can't pay your rent. That's punishment. If your vacation is punishing you, then you took a vacation, you did not plan vacation. So entitled. Now this. So, and then he had this distorted view of life and this distorted view of himself. Many people think that we are better than we are. So the young man said, give me my stuff. I'm good, Daddy. I know how to live. I know how to make these decisions. And most of us during Chronos, what we do is what I find out, most people have a very distorted view of themselves. And you listen to people, you're like, wow, that's how you feel? Yes. Okay. You know, so I can handle it. I said, well, do you know who I am? Do you know who you are? Very distorted view about who they are. They believe that they are a space. Listen, you can believe that you are highly intelligent, but you've read one book. You can believe that you're very calm. I'm very calm and calculated. You understand? And I'm like, no, you're not calm and calculated. That's not how you operate. I mean, listen, and all we got to do is follow you on your social media. Your social media tells us a lot about you. When you go on those rants on social media, we're like, somebody made them mad. Here they go. And you always know you're going to go off when you say things like, you're lucky I'm saved. That disclaimer right there is telling you you are about to not act saved. Yeah, I bet thank God I'm a praying person. Because if I wouldn't, blah, 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 blah. Am I making sense? So now, so distorted. And then here's the deal. Listen, optimistic. I got it upside down because that's how it is in y'all's head. It's all going to work out. God is in control of everything. God got it. And I want you to understand something. Listen, God does have it, but you're creating a mess. He's just aware of your mess you're about to create. Am I making sense? But you're highly optimistic, like you're going to get a job by that day. You're highly optimistic. You spend optimistically. Listen, let me help you with this. Overdraft protection. Overdraft protection. Hold on. Y'all not going to like what I'm about to say. Overdraft protection is a sign that you're optimistic. Overdraft protection is needed when you're not a budgeter. If you are a budgeter, why are you paying somebody extra money for when you mess up? I'm going to pay the bank extra money a month to charge me for extra money that I don't have. You say, well, if I do overdraft protection, it's cheaper. What about budgeting? I'm just believing God. I hate to hear that term sometimes. I'm just believing God, Pastor. I just know God. And I'm like, no, that ain't the way God works. I'm believing God. I just feel in my spirit. God got all under control. No, you're overly optimistic. God promised Moses that I'm going to take him to the promised land, right? And then when they get there, he says, now go check it out. And he says, and scout and see how you got to fight. So he gives them a prophetic land, but he tells Moses, okay, now when you get there, go scout it out. Have a strategy about how you're going to take your prophetic land. Am I making sense? Sometimes we have this prophetic mindset that's really BS. Because spiritually there is no space for it. I'm like, that ain't how God operates. Faith is, the Bible tells us we operate by faith. You operate by faith. Yes, we walk by faith and not by sight, Pastor Moody. We do. Faith is knowing the obstacle and then knowing what God says and then moving after having counted the cost. Knowing the obstacle, I know what God said, I counted the cost, so I understand. This spiritual optimism is God gonna take care of it. Now, and then you see how my unrealistic is backwards. That's because your thinking is backwards. The prodigal son's thinking was backwards. He figured that he had enough money of the 1/3 to live the rest of his life. So clearly his calculations were off. Because he did not even calculate for a change in seasons. Say it again. He did not calculate for a change. How many of us have calculated during Chronos for a change in seasons? Or does the money gotta be there on Friday? Because the check's supposed to hit on Friday. And if your money ain't there on Friday, then the check gonna bounce. Because you gave yourself no leeway, no cushion. And it's getting quiet. You see how quiet it's getting? So the text turns. I didn't think this was going to be as teachy as it was today, but I can see it already. The text turns on one phrase. When he. So now, the text doesn't turn on, or his life doesn't change, saints, when Jesus walks up on him and says, go ye therefore home. The text doesn't turn when there is a prophet that walks into his life. The text does not turn when things change. In fact, he's still in a famine. He's still in a mess. He's still around. Listen, he is a Jew living amongst hogs. And as a Jew, it was offensive to be around swine. It was offensive. They were an offense to you. And so you were not allowed to eat pork. You didn't want to touch them. You didn't want to be around them because they were such nasty, filthy animals. And they'll eat anything. They'll eat anything. I grew up and my grandfather had a farm. And on one part of the farm, we had hogs. And we would call, what you do is slop in the hogs. And so at home during the week, we would be at home. And if you stayed with there, you would take all of your food that you didn't eat and you would scrape it off in buckets. And then those buckets would just be set around on the outside. And the food would ferment and flies would be around it. And then you would take, then once a week you would take those big old buckets of all of the trash and the refuse that you've accumulated all week long. And they would drive out to the farm. And then you would go up. And then you would go up and the hog trough, it had have a trough right there. And it had a fence. And you would climb on the fence. As a little kid, I would climb on the fence. And you would lean over the fence. And you would take the buckets and you would pour the slop into the hog trough that was a muddy, fly-infested. And the hogs would get out of the mud and come running over and eat the slop. And because I have neat freak in me, I would hate that when you pour the slop and some of it was splashed back. Oh! That's when I knew I was not meant to farm. we would pour them over there, and I was little, so my granddad would give me the smaller buckets and everything else. But he was like, come help me feed these hogs. And so, we'd slop the hogs and everything else. And so now, this man's life is so bad, not only has he gone to a foreign country, but he is now connected with a foreigner, which is wrong as a Jew. And now he gets a job slopping hogs. Now, I want you to understand, that means that he was overly optimistic. He was unrealistic. Am I making sense? Listen. He had a distorted view of his own value. And he felt entitled. And he was so proud that he said, I would rather do this than go home. And the Bible says this. And when he came to himself. So somewhere in the midst of being hungry, feeding hogs every day, and the Bible says that he was so poor that he was like, their food began to be enticing. He was so hungry that when he was slopping the hogs and he's walking around with the buckets of fermented food and it's sitting there and he's carrying it, he's looking at it and he's like, man, this look good. My stomach is growling. And he looks, and the Bible says he's slopping the hog one day. And he has his legs on the fence and he's leaning over. And I believe that some slop splashed on him. And the Bible says he came to himself. Am I making sense? He was like, wait, what in the world am I doing? Have you ever come to the point in life where you just said, wait a minute, what? Have you ever experienced a splashback? And it was a splashback that made you go, wait a minute, wait. What am I doing again? Am I making sense? Making sense? And so, but here's the deal. I want you to understand something, because before I talk about the splashback, because I know many people have been there. I want you to understand something about life that he had to understand. The money spent, that's gone. Whatever you did between you and Dad, that's done. Whatever you last said to you and bro, that's over. Because when you come to yourself, you can't say, I can't go back because I went out the wrong way. This is where most of us get stuck. And I can't get back because every time I think about going back, I think about how much money I spent and how the wrong I did. Some people are stuck in this cycle of regret in life where you just keep reviewing over and over and over again, and I want you've got to listen. That man didn't say, listen, if he was us, we'd be still slopping hogs. But he had to get over it. Am I making sense? So I want you to see this. Go to my next slide. See, understand this. Regret is a reaction, not a state of mind. When it comes to being regretting, I did it. Okay, all right, I messed up. Ain't nothing I can do now to fix that. I can't be sitting in my bedroom every day saying, I will go get a job, but the last job I got fired from. The reason why I didn't go look for no job is because I get tired of getting fired. No, see, we're laughing, but a lot of us deal with it. Listen, you should be working here, but you have regulated yourself to working here because you're operating with regret, and you don't think you deserve this anymore. Regret is just a reaction. It's not. You got to get over it. He didn't say, listen, some of y'all can tell me, I spent this much money. I messed up this many times. I made this many mistakes. And I'm like, okay, if you're such a great accountant, then can we use that skill set for something else? What happens when in life, it happens with us. The Bible tells us that when your heart condemns you, he's greater than your heart. What are you playing over and over in your mind that's keeping you in this, locked in this state of, I would do better, but. So you lost. So you failed. A lot of people dealing. My honor circle people. I have guilt, Dr. Moody, that I didn't serve Mama and Daddy right. That I had moments where I was frustrated with them. I was short, and I was irritated, and I shouldn't. And now that plagues me. Okay, have the reaction. Man, I shouldn't have done that. But now, move on. Because listen, if you could call them back and have a meeting with them to tell you that you can tell them, I'm sorry, they would miss the meeting. You want me to come what? You want me to leave where I am and come to you? So you can cry in front of me and then tell me the 14 times that you went off and you don't count it and recount each one. We ain't got time for all that. Listen, baby, I'm good. Am I making sense? But a lot of people live life looking like this. How many times I made this mistake? I did this. I did that. I acted out. I did this. Okay, you was drunk. Get over it, okay? I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. We forgot. We done moved on. Ain't nobody thinking about you no more. Get over it. Am I making sense? I can't be sad. Listen, I can't come to the church. Why? Because you don't know what I did. When did you do it? Three years ago. What are we talking about? Am I making sense? It's just a reaction. Feel bad and move on. Am I making sense? Now.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you're in need of prayer or someone to talk to, our online ministers are available for you right now in the chat. And we invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sunday at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible and you can get your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you and ask that you subscribe to TheROCKATX on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. Also, you can connect with us through our website at TheROCKATX.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.